trading view, we've been coming here, picking a couple of pairs and looking at them. Now, some of them, as you can see, we're leaving marked up a whole bunch. We do need to clear the board, just bottom line. But it's interesting to say, hey, look, we looked here. We knew what we were looking. We knew we were first going to look for a retest. We got that retest. To see how well this has played out. Remember, these were drawn, and I actually need to start drawing from the time we actually mark it. It would be a little bit more systematic, but we're a work in progress. Look how well the levels we are looking at get honored. So here's the next time we looked at it. We knew that it was going to come back out into this red zone. We never got the buy up. Okay, but we knew where we were going. We knew, and that's a beautiful way to be. So did we continue to make lower levels? Yes, this level was drawn prior to it being hit because we were looking at the bigger time frames. So come here, finally, this is where we were at. So having said that, look where we're at the final time. We came all the way down into this zone. We marked this up, and this time I was actually drawing the lines from the time frame we were looking at. We not only came and hit this zone, we bounced above it to our first take profit, came back down, came all the way back up, and then of course back down. I love how these lines, which just look like arbitrary lines, have been so respected, right? If we zoom in, okay, look, this is not a magic price point. It's not that Jenny knew more or you didn't know enough. All we're doing, and I'm doing this in front of you guys daily or weekly or a couple times a month, whatever, is drawing up previous areas based off of liquidity, right? Drawing up previous areas based off of zones of interest. How we define those are so individual. That's why I try to give it this really open but definable, duplicatable kind of methodology. So beautiful way to be. I am going to go ahead and remove all of our objects as of now. Actually, before I do that, what did I do? Silly girl. Okay. Yes, of course, we pushed up all the way back into this level. Notice how we got a reaction. This is interesting to me because we did not even trade on Thursday. Each push down, we respected this level, not because it was magic, but because we know these have a magnetism, if you will. We came up, we busted above, came back to retest, and now, of course, we're here. So we're sitting at a previous liquidity zone. Beautiful. We have broken above a trend line, or we're retesting that trend line now. We'll go look at that here in just a second. But yes, of course, I want to see this retest back down into this zone that we already have drawn. I want to see it retest into this zone or this zone before I look for that longer term buy if and when it sets up. So I'm going to go ahead and remove all drawings just so we can have a clear slate. We are working off of the 1 hour. NAS is a little bit more affordable to trade. So if I were to come to this chart and I wasn't on with you guys and I just wanted to mark it up, here's what I would do. I refreshed it to get a duplicatable area. I'm marking the candle prior to the candle I'm looking at just for consistency purposes. Plus, I need to see the actual candle, the active candle. And if I wasn't on with you guys and trying to prove some, ongoing point, I would actually mark from the candle I'm marking it from. But since I'm on with you guys, I'm looking at the base of this candle before breakout, right? So my crosshairs are going to show you on the left. I'm going to mark it from right there. This is my target on that buy. Really simple. And since I don't really target wicks, I never have. This wick zone is significant in comparison to the base of this candle. So I'm going to refresh again. Wick zone. We got something. But to clean this up a little bit, I'm going to go to the line chart. So I can get my next, since price is moving up, right? First places I'm going to target is where are my targets if price continues moving up or if I get the signal and trade idea to buy. I'm looking to the left. We've got down here. And on an indice, this is fine. On other things, not so much. Kind of a tight take profit. So I'm going to put it here. And on my crosshairs, I'm going to drag across and tell you why. This is the breakout zone that has been retested. Not only there, but here and here. Makes for a pretty significant zone, right? We broke down below, and that's this little liquidity void. If we actually had candles on, you would see it. We retested it, which makes this a perfect target when and if we start to buy. My target after that, just looking to the left, notice this is the volume of price. When you go to the line chart, it's the volume of price. So I'm looking here where it's rejected, and this little liquidity void, as I call it. So I'm going to come over here. So we're trying to duplicate it to where it's kind of off the actual line where we're looking. At least that's the goal. So those are my 3 targets on the way up, when and if we get that move. This is a big zone. So obviously we don't want a huge zone that big. There's nothing to protect this zone. So you can decide, we've got a couple of wicks there. On the line chart, you can see there's nothing here, nothing at all. So if you really want that added zone, I'd be using this wick and that wick, and I'll show you what that looks like. So just coming across that wick and this wick, you guys can see, I'll leave it there for a second. Drop my line, that's here and here. Those are the targets I'd be looking for. And that's without anything else, without ATR, without math, just looking for the targets, win in if we buy. But for now, I'm looking for a little bit of a pullback down into this range. Are we going to get that much? I don't know. Are we going to continue to buy up? We don't know. Our job isn't to always be able to predict the market. It's to be able to ride where the market goes. So I would like to see something along these lines. That's kind of a steep one. Odds are we're going to get a little bit higher, somewhere into here. It's a lot more likely before we get that buy up. So for me, now we're going to mark up our targets to the downside. And I probably am not going to do this on every pair. It'll take too long. So this is where we're currently at. Same concept. I'm going to zoom in to kind of make the chart super consistent. I'm going to look right here before this breakout point, the base of that candle. If we look to the left, look how well that's been honored. If you went to this video and a recording and you saw what this price point was in comparison to the price points that we had previously marked up, it's not going to be, percentage, how do I say, decimal to decimal accurate, but it's going to be within a really close range accurate because we're using the same methodology to find the zones. So if and when we get the reason to sell down, this is going to be the target I'm looking for. Obviously, it's a little hard to find some of the other ones. We're going to go to the line chart. I'm going to again look where we're at. I'm looking for some different zones. So look at this right here. We've got break, right? Rejection, rejection. We broke through and tried to push up. This is a great zone for me. So I'm going to come over here, try to mark it up from the line so we can maybe duplicate this. Wish me luck. I don't know. It's going to be a work in progress for sure. Definitely. So we've got two targets. From there, I'm going up. I come all the way into this range. You can see we've got at least two rejections just on the line chart. And you'll be surprised at where this sits on actual candles. So those are our 3 take profits. That's all I'm doing. I'm going to get one more into this range because this has a lot of volume. A lot of money has stopped in this range, which means potentially, maybe, no guarantees. There's a lot of money stuck in this range. Okay. Great target. Great target. This is what I'd be looking for. So I'm going to go back to candles. I'm looking for something along these lines to come into this range, okay, before we look for any of our buys. That's what I'm looking for. This is a pretty hefty move. So figure if we drew Fibonacci on that, this is that 38% retracement, give or take, and I guess we can grab it real quick. I go from the base to the top, that would be 23%. So it's not even, that's what this would be in this kind of range right here, which as you can see is where exactly I dropped my arrow, because after you get a little bit comfortable, you kind of just see this stuff. But I was definitely off on the 38%. This is how much of a retest I'd be looking for. Once we have that, I wouldn't mind buying again. Until we have that, I'm not looking for the buy. Can you technically take the breakout? Sure. And you'll have plenty of targets on the way. But without that, this is a pretty steep move. So I'd rather see this get a little bit more retested. I'd rather see that really get the retracement to confirm the move. Otherwise, we're sitting at a nice little void, and a rejection is very, very possible. So this is all I would do. I would pick your 4 pairs, do this once a week if you're using the 1 hour. You could do it twice a week if you're using 1 hour, once a week if you're using the 4 hour. If you're using the monthly, do it weekly, and then revert back to the 4 hour. But this is it, the beginning, middle, and end of how I would mark up my charts. Let's see. I do want to mark up this area right here. If we get the strong push down, which is very possible, although the world at large, we're in this quarter that says, hey, we have to prove that the economy is okay in October, because at the end of this month is when all those reports come out that dictate like 20% of our nation's how do you say, income? I mean, their money. So 20% of our nation's money is determined on October 31st. So it's kind of a really, really, really big deal. Only 86. Yeah, Robert, only 86. But this is what I would do. This way, when you go to your actual charts and you're looking for live trades, you know what you're looking for. So I'm not going to do that on every pair. Obviously, we spend a lot of time on US30. Very comparable. Scott was kind enough to draw a trend line to say, hey, we busted through. The analysis without drawing that. So I'm not going to show, hey, look how amazing this was. Look how well those lines have retested. They are beautiful. But really quickly, it's okay if we miss the move. It's not where the biggest money is at. Here we go. I'm gonna mark this up. I'm gonna refresh. Figure this is a trend line. So if this is a trend line, to retest that trend line, something to consider is going to be somewhere in this range. Where this trend line would come down and sit is going to be potentially here. This one I'm doing quick with less words, right? Here, targeting this candle. Here. So I can do it either way. And of course, don't love some of these. We've got here. So just look where my dotted lines are. My dotted lines are at an area, not only where this breakout happened, but some wick rejections. I don't typically look at the wicks, and that's not the highest volume of price. So those would be what I'd be looking for on the way down, just really, really quickly, just so we can get to the actual MT4 on the way up. So we're going to do the same thing. I'm looking to the left. We've already hit this wick zone. You can see that we've wicked off of that bottom. So I'm going to come all the way up to here. I'll be looking there based off of this area. Same kind of concept. I'm going to come to the left. That's kind of a small zone. Don't love that zone. I come all the way up into here. So we don't have near enough take profits on the top side. Since we're currently pushing down, I can use this previous high as one. Because right now we're pushing down, but the same thing applies, which is we are looking for this to sell down into this range. And I'll take into this range. I don't think I've talked very much in the last few days. Maybe that's the case. I'm like, why is my voice all weird? I'm not sick, I promise. I'm not sick. I just feel like I'm clearing my throat. But this is what I'm looking for. Beyond that, we know what our targets are going to be. We already know. So can this all technically take place before a Thursday call? It definitely can. It definitely can. No, is it guaranteed going to? No, but I want to see both of these potentials. So of course, if this breaks above, we don't get much of a pullback, you know what your targets are. But otherwise, I do want to see a little bit more of a pullback. This is probably that 61% kind of a retracement. Before we go, let's just find out. There we go. Pretty close, 61%. That is what this target would be. And that's also the retest of the trend line. So that 61% kind of retracement right there is the retest of the trend line. So that's got multiple confluences. Now, it takes a lot of patience to hold for that move. It takes a lot of patience to hold for that move. So much. But it's also a really good move. So this is also need to prove the economy is good because it, right, Robert? They do need to prove the economy is good. GBHU, we don't have marked up. Gold has made some massive moves. I can look at this at some bigger time frames. We're sitting again at this area. Of course, I want to continue buying this up, but this happened when I wasn't as active in trading. I ended up taking some other pairs. So I missed the gold move entirely, which is so silly. But at this big of a move, same kind of concept. We need a retracement. Ripple and most other cryptos. I love this. We drew this back in July. This consolidated 4 months. We finally got our big move up to just the very simple 38% that we were looking for. Now, granted, this was on the daily, but just to give you an idea how long this took to play out. This is July, guys, July. We finally came up. This was our 23 or 38, came back down to retest this zone. And I think I made a video when I marked this up originally. I marked this up prior to seeing the Fibonacci. Like, not always is it going to be exact. I really wish we could all get over the exact. The only thing exact is, maybe taxes and quarter points, because those are whole numbers. Otherwise, we're not looking exact. but it is interesting to see how well these zones lined up. So with that said, we looked again on September 27th. We were looking for a bit of a sell down. We got it. And now, of course, I'm looking for this bounce back up. So that is a very different format, different structure, but that's very comparable to what I'm looking at on quite a few of the cryptos, is for them to bounce back up.